Revelation 1587. From the 29th of August 1940. Reincarnation. Spiritual looking. Look at the stars of the sky, look at the firmament, and let your thoughts wander into the infinite universe, which holds works of creation in inconceivable number. Man is only a tiny creature compared with these works of creation. So it seems, and nevertheless the whole creation is determined to prepare the being only to the stay on earth as a man. It is therefore the whole creation for the man, so to speak, the means to the end. The works of creation had to bring the spiritual first to a certain maturity, so that it could take then stay in the flesh, and with this stage its earth course may end. This was an infinitely long way on earth, which now finds its conclusion. However, no matter how the formation of the soul has developed, whether it stands in high or low state of maturity at the end of the earth life, the being has fulfilled its earthly task, but with which success does not change anything about the fact that the earthly course has now been finally put back, so the bodily death separates the soul from the body. Now the soul enters the otherworldly kingdom, which can now be for it the kingdom of light, but also a lightless stay. If the earthly life was not used, it would be an act of infinite cruelty if the soul would be left in its lightless state for eternities, if it would no longer be offered any opportunity to make up for what it missed on earth, if free will has decided to exchange the lightless state, stay with brighter regions. And therefore the soul is also offered the opportunity in the hereafter to free itself. It is free for it to look for a sphere of activity, which gives it the same possibilities for the higher development of the soul, as on earth, or also now to reject every such possibility and to remain in the lightless state. God has let innumerable creations arise exactly for the purpose of the further education of such imperfect souls, far away from the human knowledge and also this never fathomable intellectually. And when therefore a reincarnation is spoken of, then this is probably right. However, this will never take place on the same earth, which once gave the soul of man freely. The creations of God hold all beings, which still strive to the height. Only the perfect beings, the beings of the light, do not need any more works of creation for their task or gratifying activity. Only as long as the being is still bound, that is, has not yet detached itself from matter, its place of stay, on equals D. Hg, is from God visible in the world all-placed creation, according to its state of maturity, however, always outside of the earth, because the stay on this is finished with the bodily death. The divine creations have come into being in so many unthinkable variations that all imperfect beingness has the possibility according to its state of maturity to constantly work on itself and to continue or to tackle the work of the self-salvation which was begun or neglected on earth. It will always only depend on how strong the will of these beings is after the light, how far the being therefore carries desire to escape from the present state and the surroundings to reach lighter spheres. Only the unused time on earth is no longer catchable insofar as the stay on earth and rightly used will earn the being the degree of the childship of God, which on the other hand is no longer possible, although the redemption from darkness and the entering into spheres of light is likewise an unimaginable state of happiness for the being. Only the tasks of these beings are different than those of the true children of God. If now people get insight into the work of struggling and also redeemed beings through spiritual seeing, they are still not able to measure the degree of light and still less to recognize the place of residence in which the souls now move. So the souls are in activity, as far as they ask for the height. And this activity is mistakenly considered as earthly activity, therefore the conclusion is drawn from it that these beings are again on earth. There are no essential characteristics, which mark the now present place of stay, the spiritually seeing one sees more the actual activity of the beings than their surroundings, and these surroundings are only dimly recognizable to the seeing one. They also correspond to the light state of the being and are therefore completely different, always however adapted to the state of maturity and the desire of the being. So if the being is still very earthbound, that is still attached with all senses to the earth and its goods, also the environment will take such forms, because the being creates this environment itself according to its desires. And therefore the soul can well stay in earthly realms without however still being connected with the earth. It will adapt the surroundings to its desire and state of maturity, however always only in its imagination, but which the spiritually looking person regards as reality and therefore comes to the erroneous thinking that these beings again return to earth and therefore are allowed to embody themselves again on earth. Imperfect beings can never transfer themselves back to earth on their own authority, if they have covered the earthly way through unthinkably long times and have now concluded their earthly existence as a human being with the death of the body. What they have to expect afterwards, whether in mature or immature state of soul, is spiritual experience completely outside of the earth, because the whole universe has creations to show, which are again destined to form the spiritual in the universe, so that it can free itself from everything what still encases the spiritual. And if the earth life has not brought this redemption to the being, it must go through God's further creations, so that it finally reaches light and can enjoy eternal bliss in God's nearness. Amen.